Hey, what up, fam? Thank you for joining me for this episode of Chrissy Cooks. Now look, have you ever been baking something and then realized that you left something out and then was scared to add it and then not knowing how it was going to turn out? Well, this is one of those recipes. This is the cinnamon bun cake made my way, and I'm going to show you my mess up. If you want to see what I did, stay tuned. First, I'm going to start with a clean bowl, and we're going to add 3 cups of all-purpose flour. And to that all-purpose flour, we're going to add 1 cup of granulated sugar. We're going to add 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And we're going to do 4 teaspoons of baking powder. Get out our wire whisk, and we're going to give it all a good mixing, making sure that everything is incorporated. We don't want any little pockets of salt or any little pockets of baking powder. Now, once we have everything mixed well, we're going to start on our wet ingredients. And also, I didn't want to use any extra dishes, and there's plenty of room in this measuring cup for everything else. So to this measuring cup, we have our milk. That's 1.5 cups of milk, and we're going to go ahead and add in 2 room temperature large eggs. We're also going to go in with 2 teaspoons of pure vanilla extract. And now we're going to get out our whisk again, and we're going to give this a good mix, making sure that all of the eggs and vanilla extract is incorporated into the milk. It should have a very light yellow color once you're done mixing. Just like that. Now we're ready to mix our dry ingredients and our wet ingredients. We will be using a handheld mixer. Gonna go ahead and pour half of the milk substance into our dry ingredients and start mixing. And once everything begins to come together, we're going to go ahead and add in the rest of our milk mixture. Now I'm going to go ahead and get my rubber spatula and scrape down the sides just to make sure that all of our dry ingredients is incorporated with our wet ingredients. We're going to scrape the sides, and we're also going to scrape the bottom to make sure there's no pockets of the dry mixture down there. We're going to go back in for about another minute to make sure that everything is well incorporated, and we're going to give this batter a good whipped looking consistency. That looks great. Now we're going to go and just make sure, give it one little mixing to make sure that everything looks good. Look how beautiful that batter looks, y'all. Now Anybody who knows me knows I'm the queen of a good aluminum pan. Why? Because easy cleanup. I went ahead and gave it a spray with some non-stick spray. And I'm going to go ahead and add my cake batter into this pan. And I know you're like, Chrissy, you didn't add any butter, any oil, any of that. It's coming, y'all. Now we're going to take our pan and just tap it a couple of times to remove the bubbles. And we're also going to go in with a half a stick of melted butter, and we're going to drizzle that over top our cake, or excuse me, our cake batter. And it's gonna look just like this. Now you guys, this is the part of the mess up, because I took the cake right then and I put it in the oven. That was where I messed up when I did the original recipe. So I decided to do this recipe the exact same way so I can show you how I messed up. Now I am making the cinnamon swirl. So I'm gonna use a stick and a half of softened butter. Now mind you, I'm doing it exactly how I did it when I messed up the first time. I started making the cinnamon swirl with my a stick and a half of butter, my cup of brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, tablespoon of cinnamon, and for some reason this particular time, I didn't do it the first time, but I don't know why I thought this was gonna work. I went in with a rubber spatula acting like I was gonna make this thing work, but as you can see quickly I gave up and was like, girl, get that hand mixer. But y'all look at me, I'm trying hard on her. And at this time is when I realized in the first recipe that I had put the cake in the oven. The cake is not supposed to go into the oven until I add the cinnamon swirl. So I pulled it out the oven, sat it to the side. Now mind you, this cake had already started cooking. The edges, as you will see soon, have started to come detached from the side of the pan. So this cake has been cooking. But in the meantime, I went ahead and I'm going ahead and mixing up my cinnamon swirl mixture. And it's going to be just like that, nice and incorporated, smooth. And it smells divine, y'all. So look at this cake. I'm gonna let you look at it. You see that? It has come detached from the sides of the pan. The butter is melted. It has started to actually cook. The only thing is the middle is not done yet. So I'm gonna go ahead and dollop in my cinnamon swirl Because when I made this the first time, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? How is this going to mix up? Well, it's going to mix up because the middle of the cake is not done yet. Only the outside of the cake has started to get, has started to cook. The middle of it has started to cook, but it hasn't solidified at all. So I'm just going to dollop this through. And we're going to get our butter knife and we're going to swirl it in just as if we did it the proper way. I didn't know what else to do when I first created this recipe. I was like, okay, well, we're going to try to make this thing work. So this is what I did. And I believe this here is what changed the texture of this entire recipe. Now, I've had cinnamon bun cake before, and it tastes like it had the consistency of a regular cake. This made it a little more dense, and to me, so much better. And I started thinking while I was doing this, I said, well, these parts that have already started to cook, they're gonna brown way faster than the rest of the cake. So that's when I said, well, might as well add some of the batter that hadn't cooked yet on top, so that everything will brown at the same time. So that's why you see me pushing the undone batter onto the parts of the cake that had already started cooking, so that everything would brown together. I didn't want to throw it. Now, I could have thrown it away, but I said, I'm not throwing this away. I was making it for my family the first time, so I said, I'm not going to throw this away. I'm just going, if they don't like it, then yeah, we'll throw it away then, but I'm going to see if this will work. And I promise you it did. Make this mess up cinnamon bun cake, y'all. And that's my swirl through, and we're going to put it in the oven. And we're going to start on our icing. If you are enjoying this recipe thus far, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, because I'm always going to be doing uploads and I wouldn't want you to miss anything. Now for the icing, I went ahead and added in 2 cups of powdered sugar and a teaspoon or so of vanilla extract. Now you see me adding in about 5 tablespoons of milk. And I'm going to give that a good whisk. And this icing is going to be a thin type icing. See how thin it is? And that's what you want, because we want this to be able to soak into our cinnamon bun cake. Very thin, just like that. Now this is our cake out of the oven. I was like, I was nervous about it looking at it like this. I was like, is this gonna be good? Did it overcook? Is it gonna be tough? I didn't know at this point what I had done to this cake, but I said, hey, I'm just gonna keep on going, and that I am glad I did. I went ahead and drizzled this thin icing all over the cake. Make sure that I went down the sides so some of it could soak down the sides of the cake. And yeah, that was the best idea. I'm glad that I did not get frustrated and throw it away, because usually I would throw something away and not even give it a try, because I'm like, I messed up. But this right here is the best mess up I've ever done. Just drizzle it all over. Make sure it gets down into the cracks and crevices. And the hardest part about this is you're going to have to let this cake sit and cool. Yes, you are putting the icing on it when it's piping hot out of the oven, but you must let it cool. Now, it doesn't have to cool completely until it's like cold, but you want it to cool to the point of where you can eat it and not injure yourself. So I would say about 30 minutes. And if it's smelling too good, maybe 20, but I would say 30 to 45 minutes to let this cool. And this is what it looks like, y'all. After I drizzled it and it's soaking in. This is the best mess up ever, y'all. It didn't look, when I pulled it out of the oven, I was like, I don't know. But I was like, I'm giving it to my family. Either they're going to like it or not. And there's very few things that my family doesn't like, especially sweets. But it is a pretty brown color. Now, once this cake has sat for about 30 minutes, I went ahead and cut a piece. And yes, if you can see the corner over there, I tasted it. And that's when I was like, oh my goodness. This recipe is a definite keeper, mess up and all. I will always make this cake the mess up way or the messed up way. I will never make it the way that the recipe said to make it. I will always pull it out the oven and swirl the same way that I did, because the texture of this cake, y'all, is something special. I guarantee that if you try it, you'll like it. Make sure you leave me a comment in the comment section below. And until next time, you guys, peace.